boom, boom.
There's actually one thing that's keeping you broke, dissatisfied, stuck. It isn't your job, it's not the government, it's not your past, it's your mouth. What I was taught in the Brotherhood, and what all the elites know, is the words you speak create the life you want. What you say is what you get. In the Brotherhood, we were taught specifically how to create the life we wanted. We were trained in and taught was how to use our mind to broadcast a frequency which would then start attracting or creating things in our life so we appeared to be ridiculously lucky. One of those things is the power of words. When I learned this, I was a little bit surprised because I didn't realize the power of words. And in the Brotherhood, we were specifically told and taught that this is something that goes back thousands of years. In the Bible, it says, out of an abundance of the heart, the man speaks. And it says, you're hung by the tongue. You're snared by the words of your mouth. Your words either give you life or death. And even in ancient Persia, there was a word that was similar to abracadabra, which is what magicians use today. A magician would say, abracadabra, I now pull a rabbit out of my hat. Well, the word abracadabra actually meant, I now create with my words. There's power in your words. They are creative. And there's a lot of reasons why words are so powerful and creative. You can actually speak into existence what you want. We were trained in this. This is a science. It's a real science. In other words, it's backed by scientific studies. That when you say certain things, the physiology in your body can change. In other words, your blood pressure can go up or down. Your hormone production, like cortisol, the stress hormone, which makes you fat, can go up. Serotonin levels, which is a hormone, can go all out of whack, making you depressed, making you hungry, making you not be able to sleep. Adrenaline gets just with the words you speak. So if you're in a calm state, just lying down and speak certain words, the body can actually and does change. So if this is true, then we also know, or at least can theorize, that your words can also affect other people. So if I say a word to you, there are certain words we learned that open minds. And there are other words we learned that close minds. So there are certain words that you can actually use that affect other people. Now, some people call that manipulation. Yeah, well, we did a lot of manipulation. True. You can also say it is a creative activity. It is a tool that you can use. And we use this tool in many, many formats. So the words you speak are creative in nature. You're hung by the tongue. What you say is what you get. The tongue is a creative force. And out of the abundance of your heart, which means your true essence, what you're really thinking and vibrating, that's what comes out of your mouth. If you want to change your inner vibration or emotion, you can start simply by changing the words you speak. So out of the abundance of what's inside, you speak, okay, so let me take control of my words. Let me think about the words I'm going to use. And I'm going to say certain things, even though it doesn't line up with what's going on inside. But by doing so, you change what's going on inside. And this is how you can improve yourself, improve your self-confidence, improve your abilities, improve your awareness and consciousness, and improve your ability to become successful in life.
What words do people speak every day that are programming their failures or disappointments? What are people saying out loud that they shouldn't be saying?
I'll share a couple of them with you. One of which is the two words, I am. When you say, I am, the brain, the spiritual essence that you are, takes that as you saying, I, the whole being that I am, everything that I am this. So whatever you put after I am is critical. So if you say something such as, I'm such a loser. How many times have you ever heard that? How many times have you said that? You've just programmed yourself for failure because you said, I am a loser. I am a shy person. You're stuck. You can't change it. You just put into existence, you just spoke into existence that fact. And it's not going to change unless you change it with your words first. So we programmed ourselves. Now, when we were younger, our parents said, you're a loser. Okay, you listened to it, you didn't say it, but once you spoke it, that's when it became fact in your psyche. Some people call it pillars of belief. There was a great book called Psycho-Cybernetics written in the 60s by, actually 1959, I think, by Maxwell Maltz, Dr. Maxwell Maltz, Psycho-Cybernetics, and he talks about the self-image, the image you have of yourself, and it acts like a filter to create your environment. I learned all this in the Brotherhood, and I'm thinking, look, I just want to learn how to make some money. I want to learn how do you actually get some financing? How do you get some people to invest? How do you come up with a good idea so you can make a lot of cash? And they're like, that's what every loser does. No, you have to learn this first, and then those things will present themselves.
What I'm hearing here is that you're basically saying words and language have their own frequency and vibration, a power and energy. I've actually heard you say words aren't sounds, they're spells. Expound on that.
Here's how the science of words works, in a nutshell. And again, I'm telling you something that it took me years of training. So I'm just giving you some kind of a thumbnail sketch. Don't think of a cat. What's the first thing you think about? It's a cat. It's not an elephant. You're not thinking about an elephant. When I use the word cat, you're thinking about a cat. So in your brain, in your mind, the word cat, the sound cat in English, instantly, and you have no control. Because I said, think of a cat, you have no control. I just got your mind to act at my command. You have a picture of a cat in your mind. You can't not think of a cat. Even if I say, don't think of a cat, you have to know what not to think about. You think of a cat. So I can control you just with a word because I know what the image is that's going to go in your mind. So that's number one. So there's a whole science behind that where we would learn very specifically what word, when we say it, what is it going to elicit in that person, either as an emotion or a picture. One of two things, and that's the amount of training we got in this was unbelievable. Okay, that's number one. Number two, the meaning of words. Most people say words they don't know the meaning of. They don't know the origin of the word. Did it come from Latin? Did it come from French? If you're speaking in English. So I use an English word, and I think, did it come from Latin? Did it come from French? Did it come from German? Because a lot of English words come from those three things. They have some history. Some of them are Anglo-Saxon, but some of them have an English, some of French, German, or Latin origin. So this is called activating and illuminating the power of the word. So when we used to take words, we didn't have computers. We had to look them up in dictionaries, big thick dictionaries, to look the word up. And we used to actually say, okay, what is the history or etymology of the word? Where did it come from? And interestingly enough, we learned that certain words that we use today had different meanings originally. For example, we say, how's your day gone? Oh, it's going terrific. Sounds like a positive word, doesn't it? Most people use it thinking that it's a positive word. The origin is from the word terrible. It's a negative word. That was a terrific tornado. It destroyed an entire town. That wasn't a wonderful tornado. It was a horrible, terrible tornado. The word terrific comes from the word terrible in the origin. And the original meaning was something that was disastrous. So if you're saying, how your day's going? Terrific. You just said it's going disastrous. You're just programming yourself without you even knowing. And we learn this in the Brotherhood as a simple way to get people who are uneducated, and that's another thing we did in the Brotherhood, make sure that we took phonics out of the schools. So kids couldn't read. We didn't teach them a vocabulary, because that way we could manipulate them with the words. So words have origins, okay? Words also have letters, and each letter has a frequency, because each letter has a history of where it came from and how it was structured, whether it's in Persian, whether it's in Hindi, whether it's in Hebrew, or any of the letters. And of course, the Russian alphabet is different as well. And if you look at the characters in whether it's Mandarin or Cantonese, which is really almost one character language, or Korean, they're characters which had not a sound, but actually a story. So sometimes one character would be a phrase or a whole sentence, right? In Sanskrit, it was the same thing. You see like one Sanskrit word, and it translated to English as a sentence. It's like, how is that? Because that's how the origin happened. So these words have histories. Those histories are in your DNA. It's in your DNA. So if I can use a word, I'm activating something in your DNA. This is what we were trained in the Brotherhood. This is manipulation, the ability to manipulate people, control people, with just having a conversation with you when you know how. Now, we're not even talking about things called like hypnotic language patterns or embedded commands. When you say a phrase like, when would now be a good time for us to do this? I just embedded the command with the word now. I just commanded you to let's do it now. And see, and people wouldn't hear that. So that's advanced linguistics that we were trained in. But let's go back to the basics. The basic is when a person speaks, pay attention to your words. Think before you open your mouth, because your mouth has creative power. Those words are awesomely creative. They are powerful. And if you say something negative to yourself, say cancel, cancel, and change it. You know what we were taught to say? Silently, well, not silently, out loud, but privately. Things like, I'm a winner. I'm a champion. We programmed ourselves with success.
Kevin, talk about the words people say out loud and the words inside their heads, their self-talk. What are the powers and dangers of self-talk?
Self-talk is the words you say to yourself out loud and in your head. It's both. People talk to themselves out loud all the time. You're in the car driving and you talk to yourself. You're in the shower, you talk to yourself. Okay, some people don't talk out loud as much as others, so we talk to ourselves in our head. Both are similar, but when you say it out of your mouth, it's infinitely more powerful. I'll give you an example. Remember, we used to have tape recorders, like cassette recorders. And today we have phones, iPhones, Google phones, whatever, Android phones. You can record yourself on a phone, right? Okay. So if you record yourself and then you listen to your recording, we all know that doesn't sound anything like you sound. So if I record my voice and I hear it, I go, that's not how I sound. Well, guess what? It's exactly how you sound to everybody else, except you. Why? When I speak, right now I'm talking, voice, the sound is coming up to my vocal cords. It's vibrating at a frequency and it's coming out of my mouth. That sound is then vibrating and changing everything in the universe. That sound is also going in my ears. So I am hearing the sound in my ears because it's vibrating my eardrum. But 90% of the sound is coming up through my vocal cords, up through bone, into my brain. Directly into my brain through the bone. It vibrates the bones. So when I'm speaking right now, 90% of my brain is picking up 90% of the sound as it vibrates through bone, directly here, and then only 10% through the ear. So I hear it a certain way. But when I listen to it on the recorder, 100% of the sound goes into my ear. So I'm hearing what everybody else hears. This is why when you speak something, it vibrates your entire body because it's vibrating the bones in your body and your brain infinitely higher levels of intensity than you do if you're just listening. Or if you're speaking in your head, you get no vibration. So the talk that goes on in your head is clearly programming you, but what you say is 1,000 times more powerful. This is why the words you speak to others, but mostly the word you speak to yourself. You have a tool right here. I was told. Now keep in mind, when I was in the Brotherhood, I stuttered. I had a lisp. I was actually tongue-tied. I'm trying to tell you something. That's how I talked. I couldn't talk. I was tongue-tied. I had a lisp, and I was the most self-conscious person and shyest person on the planet. I didn't want to be in a room with other people, and if I was the infamous wallflower. But if I could find another room I could go into and hide, I would do that. I would go into the bathroom for half an hour. I didn't want to be around people. I was afraid. I could not communicate. I could not talk. Now, I would suggest that I'm a pretty decent communicator right now, at this point in my life. But it changed virtually in an instant. When I was taught this, I said to my trainer, my mentor, we called him my uncle, and I said, when I stuttered, it took me 10 minutes to say it, I said, but I can't talk. And he said, just say you can talk. Can't say I can talk. I can talk. But I can't. He could stop, say cancel, and this went on. And I'm telling you, it was brutal. And he just said, look, just keep saying I can talk and see what happens. See me in a week. I went back in a week. In 1 week, I went back and he says, how you doing? I said, I can talk better. And he goes, I said, explain how this is happening. That's how I talked back then. And he went through the mechanics. And I'm telling you, in my entire life, if there was one thing that got me to dance, really dance, like by myself, not in front of other people, but to dance and go, yes, yes, yeah, this was it. Because I felt that I was just given the key to changing anything and everything in my life to the exact way I wanted it.
How can everyone use their voices, the words they speak, to rewrite their personal stories and break free from collective conditioning?
If somebody wants to start today using the tool they have, the most powerful, let me say it again, the most powerful tool they have, which is their mouth, the words that come out of your mouth, that's your most powerful tool for personal transformation and controlling anybody else. The words that come out of your mouth. What do? Take a piece of paper and write down, I am, and then put down next to it what you want to be. So you can say, I am wealthy. I am happy. But Kevin, I'm depressed. Good. I know you're depressed now. Say, I am helping. You're saying the truth in advance. And this is actually a scriptural principle. In the Old Testament of the Bible, Moses went to the burning bush and God came down and said, I want you to take the people out of Egypt and take the Israel. And Moses, by the way, who stuttered, Moses said, when they ask me who you are, what do I tell them? What's your name? And God allegedly said, I am who I am. Well, that's not what he said. In the original Hebrew, it was not present tense. If you look at any Torah, which is Hebrew translated into English for Jews, The Torah doesn't say I am who I am. It says I will be who I will be. It's the future tense. And that's very significant and important. So when you write down I am, and you say I am beautiful, I am happy, I am successful, I am a winner, I am a champion, I am lucky, you're telling the truth in advance. In the same way that God called himself, I will be who I will be. It's the future. This is what we were trained in the Brotherhood. It was the first lesson I got. And I said, but I don't believe it. I can't write down, I am wealthy. I'm broke. I have no money. If I write that down, I resist it because I don't believe it. And then the solution is, good. Say, I am getting wealthy. Okay. I'm in the process of becoming wealthy. Okay, start there. But then I was told, but you can't stay there because then you will always be in the process of getting wealthy and you never will be. Make sense? But it's a bridge. Because if I can't go up this steep a gradient from I am poor to saying I am wealthy, maybe I can say I am poor, I'm in the process of getting wealthy. And then when I feel good about this, maybe I can take from here, then I can go, I am wealthy. Make sense? It's called going at gradients. And this is the secret. What I just taught you, what I just told you, is one of the biggest distinctions that you can't find in any book on success because it is a secret of the Brotherhood. It's the secret of the training that we had. But you can program yourself for success by using that technique. I actually teach it now in the Science of Personal Mastery course, where I actually go through 15 self-image lessons where you actually write down, I am the kind of person that, and you create an image. It's an actual picture, three-dimensional picture of yourself in your psyche, and you mold it, and you paint it, and you create it exactly how you want it to be. And when you get it there, guess what happens? The light that's inside you goes through that new image that you've created, and it broadcasts into the reality that you live, and that's the life you have. But don't forget, you have to speak those words out loud. You have to say it out loud. Words have frequency. Words have creative power. Your tongue is a creative force. And whatever you speak out loud does become your reality.